Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for the introduction, Philippa. So today, guys, we've got a question from Lorato. But before we get into that, I want to tell you that Lorato has won a prize because she has sent in a question and she has won a 19-inch TV, guys. So it's really simple. We're going to have a look at the question that she sent in now. And guys, you can also win one. Just have a look at how simple it is to win. Let's go to Lorato's question.
My name is Lerato Makibisela from Krugersdorp. I would like Tenfold to assist me with factorizing polynomials using long division and synthetic method. Thank you.
Okay guys, it was that simple. So Lorato has just won herself a 19-inch TV. How awesome is that, guys? It's so simple to win on the show. Guys, send in your questions. Remember, this week we're doing factor and remainder theorem. So guys, send in your questions and you can win yourself a TV. It's that easy. Let's have a look at what the question is. So Lorato over here has asked us, well, how do we factorize these types of equations using long division? So the first thing that we're going to do is try and find a factor for this equation. So guys, we all have this Casio calculator. We can use it to our best of our abilities. On tonight's show, I'm going to show you how we can use the calculator to help us in our exams and make things a little bit easier for us and faster. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to go change our mode, and we're going to go into mode 3. That gives us our table mode, and what we're going to do is we're going to basically put in the equation that we have over here. So that's going to give us 3. We're going to press alpha for x, and we are going to put it to the power of 3. We're going to subtract 28x. We're going to have plus 52x. And plus 48. Okay, we're then going to press equals, and now we got our starting value. So the starting value is the value that we're going to start with putting all these x values in. So we're going to start by 1, we're going to press equals, and we're going to end by 5. And the steps that we're going to go up is going to be 1. Okay guys, so let's have a look at what we have over here. So we are now going to try and find a value that gives us a value of 0. Okay guys, so I think I may have just made a little bit of a mistake over here because none of those numbers give us a value. Okay, so let's have a look at, we have 3x squared minus 28x plus 52x, and that must be then plus 48. Okay, great. So we're going to start by 1, end by 5, and we're going to check the steps. Okay. Okay guys, so ideally what we'd like to look at over here, when we're trying to find a factor for this question, we've got to substitute in a value that gives us a value that gives the expression a value of 0. Okay, so if I want to try and look at another part of a question over here, if we have to do this question over here using long division, let's do the exact same thing. We're going to have 2x cubed minus 17x squared plus 41x minus 30. Okay, we're going to start by 1, we're going to end by 5, and we're going to check every step. Okay guys, so let's have a look at this piece over here. We now have a value that says when our x value is 2, our equation is equal to 0. So that gives us a starting point. Okay, guys, so now we've now found a factor that says when we substituted x equal to 2 into the equation, we got a value out which is 0. So that's perfect. That means that we have 2 as a factor. So that's great. So let's write that down on our sheet. We're going to have x is equal to 2, and that's going to be a factor. Okay, perfect. So what that means is if I have to substitute in 2, we get 0. And that's really great for us because that means if we have to divide this equation using a long division method, we're going to first write down what we have. We have 2x cubed minus 17x squared plus 41x minus 30. Okay guys, now remember over here, we've just found that our factor of x equals to 2 makes our equation equal to 0. But guys, remember, we don't want to substitute in the value for 2. We want to find that x equals to 2 is a factor. So that means x minus 2 is what we must divide into our equation, that we can find all the other additional factors for that equation. So that means that if we want to solve for x in this factor, we're going to say x minus 2 is equal to 0. And this is what we're going to divide by using our long division method. So we're going to have x minus 2. Okay, guys, now there is a bit of a mnemonic that you can use to work with long division. I like to call it daddy, mommy, sister, brother. Okay, so what that means is daddy is divide, mommy is multiply, sister is going to be subtract, and daddy, mommy, sister, brother is going to be bring down. So let's write down this mnemonic over here. It really is helpful. So we're going to have daddy, mommy, our sister, and our brother. Sister and brother. Okay. Now, what this means is daddy is going to be divide, and that's going to be our first step that we do. Mommy is going to be multiply, sister is going to be subtract, and brother is going to be bring down. So we're going to go through each of these steps one by one, and when we finally reach brother, we then are going to start over by daddy again. Okay, so let's have a look at what we need. All right, we got to ask ourselves, when we do the long division method, what must we multiply x by that gives me the very first term in my equation? So guys, if we got 2 multiplied by x cubed, we then are going to have to multiply by 2x squared. So 2x squared multiplied by x gets me 2x cubed. And 2x squared multiplied by negative 2 gets me negative 4x squared. Okay, so that there is the daddy part done. The next, well, we've actually done daddy and mommy together over here. So the next part is sister, and sister says subtract. Okay, so if we subtract what we've just found over here, we have 2x cubed minus 2x cubed. And that's going to leave us with nothing. If we have negative 17x squared, and we're going to subtract negative 4x squared, that's going to be negative 17x squared plus 4x squared. And that gets me to negative 13x squared. Okay, so that's sister dealt with. Now we've got to do brother, and brother says bring down. Okay, so we're going to bring down the term next to that, and that's going to be 41x. Okay, guys, so let's do the next part again. We go back up to daddy, and daddy says divide. So what must I divide? How many times does x divide into 13x squared? So I'm going to have then negative 13x. Okay, if I have negative 13x multiplied by x, I get negative 13x squared. And negative 13 multiplied by negative 2 gets me positive 26x. Okay, we've done mommy, we're now with sister. She says subtract. Negative 13 minus negative 13x squared, that gets me 0, that's what I want. And we get 41x minus 26x. Okay, guys, let me just check that on my calculator quickly. So go back into my first mode. That's going to be 41 minus 26. And that gets me 15. Great. So that gets me plus 15x. The next step is brother. So I'm going to bring down what brother asks for us. We've got negative 30. And guys, once again, now we go back up to the top, and it says daddy, which is divide. So we divide x into 15x, and that tells us that we are left with positive 15. Okay, great. So once we've done that, 15 multiplied by x gets me 15x. 15 multiplied by negative 2 gets me negative 30. And guys, this is exactly what I want. So when it comes to doing a long division sum, the last two terms at the bottom, after you've brought down all your terms on the right-hand side, you want them to be identical if it is a factor. If it's a remainder, they will be different. But if it's a factor, you want those last two to be identical. Okay, so this helps us because that means that we don't have a remainder. That is great, guys. So that means we are currently one factor away from what we have. So let's have a look at what we've got over here. We've got x minus 2 as a factor, and we've just found another factor for this equation over here. And we have x minus 2. So I'm going to write this down because we're still not done factorizing this yet. We have x minus 2 and 2x squared minus 13x plus 15. 2x squared minus 13x, and I've just forgot my sign, plus 15. Okay, so we then have to factorize this piece over here. So guys, if we factorize this, it's a simple quadratic. So we're going to have x minus 2. We're going to have 2x squared. And the factors of 15 that give me 13, well, it's going to be 1 and 15. It's going to be 2 and, well, sorry, 2 doesn't go into 15. It's going to be 3 and 5. 3 and 5. Let me get my pen over here. 3 and 5. Okay, but guys, I've just forgotten something over here. We have 2 multiplied by 15. So we're not actually looking for the factors of 15. We're looking for the factors of 30. Okay, so 2 multiplied by 15 gets me 30. The factors of 30 that get me 13. So we have 1 and 30, 2 and 15. And straight away, we can use these two over here for my substitution using the grouping method. So we're going to have then positive 2. It must be 13x. It's going to be positive 2x. Okay, and then we're going to have minus 15x. So basically, I've taken 13 and made it into 2x minus 15x, and then plus 15. So using the grouping method, I'm then going to have x minus 2. If I take out a 2x, I'm left with x plus 1. And if I take out negative 15, I'm left with x plus 1. Okay, so we're almost done. We have x minus 2 multiplied by 2x minus 15, and we have x plus 1. And that is the end of our factorization question. Okay, guys, so Lorato, thank you for that question. Congratulations on winning your TV by sending in the question. I hope you guys have an idea of how to use the daddy, mommy, sister, brother method for long division, and I hope it helps everyone at home. Thanks, guys. We are now going to go into a quick ad break, and then we're going to be back with a wildcard question, which Siyabonga is going to explain to you exactly what it is. So stay tuned, guys.
Hi guys, welcome back to yet another exciting episode of Tenfold Live. Just remember to send any more questions if you have any through our Facebook line and also our WhatsApp group. This week we're adding a new element to our segments called the wildcard. What a wildcard is, it's a question that we're picking from any other topic that is not relevant to the topics we're doing this week. And this episode's wildcard is under the topic of analytical geometry, and it was sent through to us by Greg.
Hi Tenfold, it's Greg here from Krugersdorp High School. I'm just struggling with this question for my finals. So if you can please help me with this question. It goes 3.1, determine the equation of the circle that has a diameter with endpoints with a ratio of 5 and 3 and negative 3 and 6. I'd also like to send a shout out to my dad. Woo! Thank you for letting me watch the show, and thank you for your content.
Thank you, Greg, for this exciting question. So let's just have a look at what the question has to say. The question reads, determine the equation of the circle that has as its diameter a line segment with endpoints 5 and 3, negative 3 and 6. So going back to the question, we need an equation of a circle there, and also we have a diameter. So we need to outline a few things that have to do with this particular question. One, I need to know what is the relationship between I need to know my relationship between a diameter and a radius in order to be able to answer this question. The second thing that I need to know is how can I find the center of the circle? So finding the center, which is the second thing that we're talking about. And then the third important thing that we have here will be expressing the equation of the circle in the form x minus a all squared plus rather y minus b all squared is equals to r squared. So remember guys, when having a look at these particular questions, I will always say please run away from using a calculator from the get-go, just switching on your calculator, because it's not going to help you with anything, but rather read the question and understand the key words that they are using. In this question we are having, the key words are two: equation of a circle, that is important, and the second thing is when they say a diameter. What does a diameter do for us? It tells us that we have a radius that we have there. So that's one of the things that you guys need to think about before you can do any question. Now let's just go back to the question and try and solve it using what I just mentioned. Going this side, I already drew the question for you so that you can just see what it is. Now plotting the points I have, this is 5 and 3. This is -3 and 6 as my coordinates. And then my midpoint will be somewhere there, which is then I will indicate it as C, which is a center, X and Y. I don't know the coordinates. And then this is my R, which is the radius. Now, firstly, I said we need to find the center of the circle. So finding the center of the circle, we're going to use a midpoint formula. So using the midpoint formula, I will then have a look at it's m into x1 plus x2 all divided by 2 y1 y2 all divided by 2. Substituting the coordinates that we have here, my x1, so let's just have a look at what we have here. This is going to be my 1s and these are going to be my 2s. So it's also important for you to note them like that. The first x is -3 plus the second one is 5 all divided by 2, and the first y there is 6. So I have 6 here plus, and then 3 all divided by 2. And then this will then be equal to, this is equal to, remember this is mental math, so you don't really need a calculator here. -3 plus 5 will give me a 2 divided by a 2. And then here I'm going to have 6 plus 3, which is equals to 9 divided by 2. And then the final answer here will be 1, not 1 over 1. It will just be 1. So the final answer will be 1 and 9 divided by 2. So going back, let's just plot the coordinates that we have here. Erase this. The coordinates that we found it to be 1 and 9 over 2. Let's just write that properly. I'm sorry about that. 9 over 2. Now, looking at what we needed to do here, we needed to find the equation of the circle. So the equation of the circle, we said it's x minus a all squared plus y minus b all squared is equals to r squared. And then it will be x minus, I found this to be 1 squared plus y minus 9 over 2 all squared is equals to r squared. So what is missing here will be us to find the r, which is the radius. To find the radius, looking at this, it will be the distance from the center to one of the endpoints of the line segment that we are given. So let me just jot them down here. I have the center there, 1 and 9 over 2. I also have the point, which is, we said we're going to use the one down here, 5 and 3. 5 and 3. Now to find the distance here, which is d squared is equals to, remember it's also r squared because it's the radius that we want. It will be equal to x2 minus x1 all plus, there's a squared there, y2 minus y1 all squared. This is equals to, substituting the points, remember this is 2, that is 1. Remember to label them at all times, please. This is going to be equal to 5 minus 1 all squared plus, here I have y2 is 3 minus 9 over 2 all squared. So let's just plug all of this in the calculator and find our answer. So I will say I have the 5 minus 1 all squared plus I have 3 minus 9 over 2 all squared, and this will give me 73 over 4. This is equals to 73 over 4. So let's just go back to what we're dealing with up here. Now to substitute this in total, now it will be x minus 1 all squared plus y minus 9 over 2 squared is equals to 73 over 4. And that will be the equation. Now, just remember guys, when looking at questions, it is important for you to note out what is it that is important in the question. It is not necessarily that everything that is there is important. There's required to know in the question. One, they mentioned a center. They mentioned a circle, I mean. So mentioning a circle means you're going to talk about a center. Mentioning a diameter means you're going to talk about the issue of a radius. So those are the two important things that you please need to look out for and then solve the question accordingly. I hope that was very helpful, Greg, and to everybody else at home.